that was spelling it out for me again.
Mm-hmm.
And his character's, I'd say, more than he ever appears to be throughout the entire film.
Yep, definitely those two. I would say the son and Benedict Cumberbatch. There's layers, I think, to those characters that more gets revealed as the story goes on.
You mean like an onion?
Like ogres.
Or a cake?
Yeah.
Cakes have layers. Hi, this is Randall here for No Market Media.
And I'm Matt. Today, Randall and I are getting to a movie that we wanted to see last year but didn't quite get to. Now we're seeing it in 2022. It's on Netflix. It's The Power of the Dog. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, and Cody Smith-McPhee. It's based on the book by Thomas Savage. The movie is co-written and directed by Jane Campion, also known for The Piano, Bright Star, and The Portrait of a Lady. But before we go any further, if you like this review, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Also, be sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell to get notifications on our latest videos.
All right, in The Power of the Dog, we find brothers Phil, portrayed by Benedict Cumberbatch, and George, portrayed by Jesse Plemons, Burbank. They run a cattle ranch together in Montana, but they don't always see eye to eye concerning topics of life or the ranch. When George brings home his new wife and her son, things get a little out of hand as Phil wages a psychological battle on his brother's new wife, while at the same time kind of trying to bond with her son. It had about a $35 million budget and has received high praise from critics and is generally well received by audiences. The movie has already won a wide variety of awards across multiple critics associations. Most importantly, has already won several Golden Globe Awards, including Best Picture for a Drama, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Director. It is currently nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award for the 3 primary leads as well. So Matt, this was on your list of wanting to watch. Anyone in the US can watch it on Netflix. What are your first impressions of The Power of the Dog?
I thought this was a pretty good film. It was interesting, but not what I was expecting. Especially like the end of this film. I don't think I was expecting the end of the film and stuff, but overall I think performances were good, and generally I thought it was a good film.
Yeah, so I want to start out by saying that for me, first impression wise, I knew nothing going into this film other than Benedict Cumberbatch, Jesse Plemons. All right, I'll watch it. They did their multi-million-dollar Disney roles, and now they get to make an artsy movie. Seems to be the only way art movie gets made nowadays.
Yep.
I thought it had a bit of a slow start, but as everything starts compounding on top of each other and all the decisions the characters make start coming into focus, I was really enthralled with like how it could end. Everything that could possibly happen, one way or the other. Like what's going to happen to what character started really like, oh, now I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
So as a good character movie, I was really interested in it. And like you said, it was nothing like I expected. And it helps that I went in completely blind. I hadn't even seen a trailer,
Me, I had actually seen the trailer, but even going off by what shown in the trailer, I was really kind of thrown, like, this movie definitely doesn't go where I thought it was going to go from the trailer.
Absolutely. A kind of interesting, not joy to watch.
Yes.
But still fundamentally good film.
Yep.
All right, so for me, the story, it's interesting. This is a very, very character-driven movie.
Mm-hmm.
These decisions that each of these characters make early on end up affecting everything that happens at the end of the movie, much more than even some other really well character-driven films. All of that is so well played out, and I just want people to go watch it, and rather than me explain it all, because I don't want to give any spoilers out for that. There is one thing story-wise that I found really off-putting, and it's this whole story about this, character who's already dead, Bronco Henry. You get a lot of feedback or information about him and how he kind of raised the two brothers, or at the very least is idolized by Phil, Benedict Cumberbatch's character.
You know what we should do?
What's that?
Go camping again in the mountains and shoot ourselves some fresh elk liver. Cook it right there on the coals, like Bronco Henry taught us.
And then their parents show up, and you're like, wait, the parents are in the picture? Seems like they were raised by this, Bronco Henry fella. The parents must have been gone, but, like, the parents are socialites. And so the story brings them in and doesn't really expand on them a whole bunch. It kind of lets you make assumptions about some things about the parents. Like, maybe this, maybe that. And I thought, from a story perspective, I would have loved to see the parents' side explored a little bit more, because these two brothers out on a ranch doing their thing.
Yep.
But then their parents are, like, well-heeled money people from the city. Like, wow, that's weird. I would have liked to see that part.
For me, a lot of part of the story that was really gripping me was, like, Phil and why Phil was doing what he was doing throughout the movie. Because he was really, at the start, really, like, tormenting, like, Kirsten Dunst and, her son in this film. And you're kind of like, why? Because there's a lot of instances where Phil has, like, opportunities to, like, help or to help the situation, and he doesn't. He just makes things worse for some own reason. And me, I was waiting. That was what kind of was gripping me. It was like, hey, are we going to find out more about Phil as kind of point, like, why he might be this way and stuff.
Kind of.
So, yeah, that's why I think it was kind of interesting. That was one of the things that was really gripping me about the story. And like I said, it's really character-driven.
I mean, Phil's character gets expanded on probably the most. Of all of them, he's the lead, you know? And his character, you find things out about that if you start putting all the puzzle pieces together, because everything's there at the end of the day. Like, you think about it, reflecting on it, everything you need to know is there. And then you're like, oh, he acts this way because of this, he does these things because of this. And then some of it is left up to, I think he does some of the stuff because of this. But yes, exactly. His character and why he does things, initially, like I said, it's very slow and weird and awkward. And then at the end, by the time you're done with it, you're like, how could I be so blind and stupid? Obviously.
Yep. I'll say another thing about this story and how certain, like, scenes are played out and stuff and what we're building towards. Honestly, if it weren't for, like, the music, I probably would have misread these scenes quite a bit. Because me, it's kind of like, oh, they're going in, I think, a more positive light. But really, it's not. The music makes you know that, something more nefarious or what everyone says is going on, that this isn't, a feel-good part of the movie at all. Alright, so like as we were saying, I think the characters, it's a character-driven story, so the characters are what really shine in this movie and stuff. Specifically for me, I really like Benedict Cumberbatch's character, also Kirsten Dunst's story. And we've talked a bit about Benedict's story a bit, but Kirsten Dunst, the reason I liked her character and stuff is I think I felt a lot of things for her character. Specifically, there's a one scene in there where she has to, like, play the piano for guests, and it's something that she's not confident in
very
doing.
Anxious, yeah.
I actually felt, like the tension, the anxiety and stuff in that scene and stuff, and so that's why it was a really standout for me. I think scenes like that is really what made me, kind of feel right. But yeah, I think the characters did an excellent job in this.
So I love the portrayals of the characters. It's funny, you said that you like Benedict Cumberbatch's character, and I'm like, well, no, wait, stop. I love the portrayal of the character by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
It does not mean I have to like the character.
Exactly.
And his character is just downright mean. He's cruel to Kirsten Dunst's character, and early on, he's kind of cruel to, Cody's character, which is the son, who he's kind of looks at and scoffs at, like, how how he presents himself, basically. Now later that changes. His character gets, I wouldn't even say redeemed. I'm not going to go so far as redeemed, but I will say that his character gets, some help in, maybe he sees something else and he's kind of turning a little bit, but then the end of the movie happens and you're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
That's not what I was expecting. So yeah, his character is deplorable and shouldn't be liked, and since he's so deplorable, he's not liked. A+.
Yep. I would say I don't know that really any of these characters, at least for me, are really all that likable. Like even our like characters that are getting kind of like beat up on and stuff, I sympathize and stuff with those characters, but I don't know that I necessarily am really like liking any character in particular and stuff in this film. And they do a good job of just portraying people kind of thing. And I guess that's what I really liked about the actors in this film.
Yeah, well, the character, so Jesse's character, which is, again, Benedict Cumberbatch's brother, his character is interesting and different because it seems like he's awkward. He doesn't have a good way with words around people, even his own family, people who you should be able to talk pretty freely and smoothly with. He has trouble communicating with, basically. Just plain talking, call it, just say what's on your mind, basically. And, he brings home this widowed wife and her son, and he doesn't really stop to think about his brother, who's also living there. Like, okay, does his brother, have any agreements with this? Or does, like, the interaction, he doesn't think there's a problem. So his character's weird, too, and you're like, they're all kind of weird characters and awkward characters, including the son. And they all just play off each other doing this thing, and everything just builds up on top of it. And they're all portrayed great, but like you said, none of them are likable.
Yeah, none of them are likable. And another thing, too, is like this whole story and with these characters, we learn everything about these characters through their dialogue and like how they react to different things. We don't get like, a whole bunch of like explainer or whatever. We just get kind of like hints and clues, like you were talking about, like Bronco Henry. We only really know about Bronco Henry from like what we hear from Phil in this movie, and we get some visual cues or whatever. Later, like a saddle and then like a stash of stuff with Bronco Henry or whatever later. That's really all we get to know about the character. So it's not like we actually see that character in this film. We just
we never see him.
It's just someone that we hear through stories.
But his shadow looms large.
His shadow looms large in this movie, that's for sure.
So, yeah, it's good. And then the last character that to touch on is the son. I think he's also kind of awkward. He wants to be a doctor because his dad was a doctor, so he's going to school to be like a physician, basically. And then he comes back to the ranch after semester's out. Pretty normal, And that's when Benedict Cumberbatch's character, like, kind of, like, notices things about him. And, like, almost to a point where, well, if I take him under my wing and I get close to him, that's just going to bug my brother's wife even more, which is still part of that psychological, which is why you can't really like him. He makes some strides forward, but, like, 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. Like, he's only doing it to get on her nerves.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
You got to question his motives and stuff with everything he does.
But then the one thing about the son for me was just there's a couple of lines of dialogue where it's like, oh, my father thought I was too tough, which was just like completely hinting towards something else.
Yep.
Not being too manly or something like that. Which again, I won't want to give away or anything particular, but like, wow, that was spelling it out for me again. And his character's, I'd say, more than he ever appears to be throughout the entire film.
Yep. Definitely those two, I would say the son and Benedict Cumberbatch, there's layers, I think, to those characters that more gets revealed as the story goes on.
You mean like an onion?
Like ogres.
Or a cake?
Yeah.
Well, cakes have layers.
I don't care what everyone likes. Ogres are not like cakes.
Alright, as a genre film, this one's weird. Because obviously it's kind of sold as a Western. It's a Western, but it's like, not. If you're expecting to go in and getting like a shoot 'em up, bang bang Western, you're not going to get that. It's more of a Western drama than anything. Just happens to take place in the West. And even then, it's like, well, there's, it's like the 1920s, which a lot of people associate with like the Roaring Twenties and, the Foxtrot and all that, like all that kind of stuff, like the New York side of things, not the Montana out west where people are basically still living like it's the 1890s. So if you're going in it looking for a specific genre and your genre is Western, it is not.
Yeah, I would agree. The Western part of it really is like the setting stuff. And it's kind of funny you're mentioning it. It's not really like the 1890s. But, we get a scene from Benedict Cumberbatch where he's, glorifying those. Like, man, those were real
the
men
Lewis
back
and Clark,
then. And
the 1820s?
Or
yeah.
even then, back then or whatever, even go on. Like, man, that's when real men live. And that's kind of how, Benedict Cumberbatch is really like kind of, he wants to stink and different stuff. And he's fine getting dirty and rusting the cattle and stuff too. Phil, that's, what he idolizes, and that's kind of what he likes too. But yeah, the rest of it, I would say, is probably more of like a psychological drama or something like that. I mean, I did not expect this movie to be that kind of like psychological stuff, but I think there's definitely elements of like, hey, what's really going on? And, Phil really plays on, Rose, Kristen Dunst's character's psyche and stuff through this
Bet
film.
you'll never look at a banjo the same way again.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't even think there's psychological stuff, but it doesn't reach the heights of psychological thriller by any means.
No.
It's a hodgepodge of stuff, and it's hard to say, oh, if you like this genre, you'll like this film.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't. If anything, I'd say it leans much more heavily towards if you like dramas.
Yep.
You'll like this film.
Yep.
But most dramas have much more solid, happy stuff going on than this. Like you get that kind of ebb and flow, and this movie doesn't have that. So.
Well, another thing too with this movie, and I'm trying to get onto a point I was saying before, how I probably would have misread a lot of these scenes if it weren't for the music and stuff. And I think that's too. Maybe slightly, it might be a little bit of critique on different movies. Like, I think I had anticipation on how these scenes normally play out. And so I was reading them as if it would play out like it's seen before. But the music really let me know, like, yeah, no. There's more to this, and it's not going to turn out the way you think it is. Alright, so we talked about this before. The thing that I really didn't see coming is really the end of this movie. I didn't expect it to go the way it did, and I didn't expect the son's role in the ending to be what it is. And I guess that is really what's I didn't really see coming, and I don't want to spoil it at all. It's a different, it's an interesting thing to watch or whatever, so it's something you have to experience yourself. But yeah, I definitely didn't see coming what happens and, how the son plays it all into the ending of this film.
So for me, what I didn't see it coming is similar. It's not a copy-paste. It's that I didn't think that the ending for this could have gone so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're like 10 minutes from the end-ish, and thinking, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen.
Mm-hmm.
This could be this character's moment to, like, do something great and grand.
Yep.
Or this character changing something. Like, no, but at the end of the day, the ending was unexpected.
Yep.
Period. Even more so brought on by the fact that I just did not know. Like, so many different things could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I'm not particularly ecstatic about the way the film ended,
mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, you got me at least guessing.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that, especially in a character-driven film. Like, what's going to happen to these characters I've latched onto?
Mm-hmm.
So did not see all of the, choose your own adventure endings.
Mm-hmm. One thing I would like to say too about like the ending stuff, you were talking about how there's like a lot of clues and different stuff. I think you picked up on those clues a lot better than I did, because I think you probably saw more of like the build up or whatever to what could be. Me, when the ending happened, I was doing the opposite, going back and trying to rethink of what the clues were, kind of thing. I really just didn't expect, it to go to what it is.
Go watch the movie.
Go watch the movie.
We're moving into conclusions anyway, so conclusions. This film I don't think is for everyone. You're not going to sit down and watch this film and probably enjoy it all the time or have a good time with it, but it's good. The acting's good, the characters are good. The ending is so, I just don't know what's going to happen, and then when it happens, wow, okay, that was, I wish it had done something different, and it could have done something different.
Yep.
And didn't. And I just go watch it. Go watch it.
Yeah, I think this is a good film too. Performances are really good, and to, echo, sentiment that you have or whatever. I don't think this movie is for everyone. I actually was thinking when I saw the trailers, like, hey, maybe my mom might want to see this. And then after I watched, I'm like, yeah, no, she's not going to want to see this movie. So yeah, this isn't a movie for everyone, but I recommend that if you're at least interested in seeing it, that you check it out. But if you guys have already seen this film, let us know what you guys think about it in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some of our other reviews. We have other new movie reviews, flashback movie reviews, take a look at TV shows, and we have deeper dive discussions.
And don't forget to go check us out over on our Facebook page. We post there the day before what's coming up next on the YouTubes. But if you don't have a Facebook page, don't worry about it. Posting on a schedule, new videos every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to check them out. For now, I'm Randall here with No Market Media. See everyone next time.
And I'm Matt. Have a good day, everyone. Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.